Assalamu alaikum.
Next one.
As a young brother from Africa myself, and a Muslim, I see that that your teachings and your knowledge are much more updated and universal than the traditional teachings of Islam. And as a young Muslim, I'd like to know what's the most modern, no, better yet, how can I attain the information to the modern, updated information that you have to provide?
Join the Nation of Islam.
This is what I will offer you. I will offer you to get every book that Honorable Elijah Muhammad wrote first. The reason why you need to get every book that he wrote is you can look back at what you've been taught and see the errors. And then after you do that, maybe for a little while, months, go to a brother, maybe like Wesley Muhammad, who's written, no, it's all right. You might not agree with everything that Wesley Muhammad writes, but Wesley Muhammad is a brilliant black man. And he's presenting an alternative paradigm in Islam that is very well studied. And if you want to come to me, I have books and materials. I'm on social media. I can hit you, whatever, with anything. There's other young people in Islam that are studying, that are ministers, but I mentioned me and Wesley because I think we are technicians in some sort. So if you want to specifically approach the Hadith, or specifically approach the Quran, or specifically approach Islamic history, I don't know two young brothers who are cutting into it like that. There are other great scholars. I'm not going to say that, you know, other followers of Prophet Abu Ali and other people that are doing a great job. But I think the most honorable Elijah Muhammad lays the basis. And if you want to understand why, there would not be a Wesley Muhammad, there would not be a Ali Muhammad, there would not be a Louis Farrakhan, there would not be a Muhammad Ali, there would not be a Khalid Muhammad, there would not be any of the Malcolm X. None of these sharp, brilliant brothers would be like they are, and the only thing that we have in common is FOI training in the books of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's it.
That brother Wesley Muhammad is a bad brother, boy. He's a silent assassin, guys.
That's right.
Assalamu alaikum, brother. I'm Abdul Rahman, and I came into Islam through listening to Minister Farrakhan. First through Malcolm X, through his autobiography, and then later he said, look for Louis X. He's gonna do great things, and you know all the rest, right? Yes, sir. But now you know they put the twists and turns in the teachings to the nation, which is wonderful for 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, but now we done evolved a little bit now, right? We've been talking for a long time, right, on 125th. But when we gonna get to building, I see path marks over here, right here in Harlem, and I see other businesses, you know, white owned, other races own them, and but no brothers pooling the money together like Brother Malcolm said, pool the money together and then start building businesses. But we talk wonderful, and it all sound good. I didn't like the brother disrespecting you. I wanted to get to him, but I love what you're doing, brother. But when we gonna get to that part? As I say on the street when I'm ready to fight, instead of arguing, we get right to the good part. When we gonna get to the good part? Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir.
Alhamdulillah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think you know the answer to this question, and let me answer the question the best I can. I'm a young man, I'm in my 30s. The messenger has been gone for 40 years, right? When we look, the 80s, crack, 90s, hip-hop, 2000 now, blues, even in Islam, right? What do we do? What do we do, brother? We left it. We left it for a foreign, so-called Islam. And everything that we built, and y'all saw so-called Imam D. Muhammad, Wallace D. Muhammad, leave the basis of what was building us up for something foreign, and then what happened? Everything started crumbling.
That's right.
Now,
that's how it happened.
we thought at the time that we were getting a better scholarship and getting into real al-Islam. My point to us is we should have started to study. But what we didn't know is that the basis of what the messenger gave us was in the Quran. So that's why we had to have these discussions, Because if I tell you that the black man is God, there's two things happening. I'm dealing with your psychology, but I'm also dealing with some history and some science. What we did is, we said it was only psychology, we don't need it no more. That's what we did. And then what happened is we forgot that we was in the hells of North America still. So that $100 billion empire and the spirit of the Muslim was broken. We got to get that spirit back. How do we get it back? It don't mean that you can't study hadith and classical literature. You just need to know it's co-opted history. I can walk you through Sahih Bukhari and prove to you first that the man never existed, and it's impossible for him to have done that particular work when you read the first introduction in 17 years. It would have taken him 70 years to do that work. He studied Isnad, chains of hadith as the prerequisite. He studied, some people say, over 100,000 hadiths. He gave rakah for each one that he did. Do you know that it would have took him 70 years and he was processing Isnad at a rate of 30 hadith, a hadith every 30 minutes? If he did 100,000? That takes 70 years. Somebody lied to us, brother. It wasn't nothing wrong with the teaching, it just needs to be refined in the language. Don't speak baby language. Alright? So, if you see us building up strength based on the principle, and then we leave it and you see us collapse, we gotta be scientists and investigate what happened. What's happening in Harlem is our people's spirit is broken. Because they've been invaded by foreign ideologies. In this time period right here, original people were supposed to be programmed to think and act and do in a certain way. It's the real guidance. Then he gives you a picture of what your greatness could be, and he throws you some fitna, a test, to see whether you are worthy of having someone born from the womb of the women of your own people, who knows how you feel, who knows what you're going through. And you take that kitab and you look at it and you say, how does this apply now? Don't turn me into something that's in a time warp. And our brothers in Islam is in a time warp, brother. Many of them are striving to keep their families together, they're doing great things. But my point is, it was a specific type of guidance and it's non-religious. Like I said, if you see me, I have the hat on, you might not recognize me when I come through. But all day it's Allahu Akbar. Whenever something go down, what's the call? Fruit tin up. Because we've been trained to be like that. So all I'm saying is take off Islam and put in just God's natural law. We need to teach our people how to survive in the hells of North America, economically, family-wise, and all the other means and methods. And there is no spook God that's going to teach us that. We can pray all day and get marked and get the salat and hit all kind of, touch the food and go all night. Brother, it don't matter. That's not Islam. All right? That's not Islam. That's your dedication to rid yourself of the filth of the world by giving concentration to salat, to focus. But Islam is what you do after you make the prayer, and when you end the prayer, you're not just supposed to be saying some words, you're supposed to be envisioning what you're about to bring about. In the name of Allah. Because God ain't no spook. So who's going to get up and do it?
Good.
Elijah taught us right.
Good answer.
Elijah taught us right.
That's his money.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I got an easy question for you this time. When you was writing this language here, I would like if you can give me an understanding of this text, what the primary text was, and then the English letters that you've written under it, and where are the vowel connections. And my last point on clarity that I would like to get is you erased part of the ma'at, or the hieroglyphs that you wrote. If you could write that back again, I have a question that I wanted to point out.
You don't get that second part.
Oh, come on, that's the same. It's the same.
It's the same. That second part.
Yes, it's the same. Oh, come on.
Before I go any further, I want everybody to give a nice hand to our brother back there, Africa Bambata. Pioneer this game.
All right. I know this is going to be hard.
I also want to bring King Simon up in a minute.
Bring up the king.
So he can give you a little rundown on what he got going on.
Absolutely. All right.
Bashir, you put me in the corner, but I'm going to do this.
Uh-oh, do it to him.
This is the actual reproduction of an actual stele in epigraphy. For the sake of the live stream, I don't want to give up the name. Can I do that? But I will explain. The reason why I don't want to give up the name is I don't want to give up any of my hard epigraphical sources. I got maybe about 25 of them. Can I do that? Can I explain it? Alright. So this text was found by archaeologists. I can name it, I can give the time period that they found it, and even if you don't agree with carpet digging, I can give what they gave as carpet digging. But it's the first time that you have the word Israel written down in the text, ever in history in hard stone. First time ever. And it was not written in Hebrew. Hebrew came with the Masoretic text 900 AD. This right here is over 1,000 years before that. So what the point of clarification I wanted you to see, if we call ourselves Israel, where was the first time it was written down? It wasn't in the Bible first. It was in another language. It wasn't in Greek or so-called Hebrew. It was in Punic writing language. So that's what you're looking at. Up top, you have Malak Yisar El. Malak Yisar El. Let me get my point. Get your point? I gave it to you. It don't matter. All right. At the bottom, you have the name for Bet Daoud. Daoud is David. The D's are actually interchangeable, so it's actually Daoud, which takes us into another level of discussion on who David was, if he existed. All right. That's it. Can we get something? I think
Push the minute.
pushing it, bro. Oh, there we go. We got something going on there. I think it's dying.
You got my other one too.
Huh?
I left my other one.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
better.
I know.
The other one is better. Where's that?
I don't know.
Oh man.
All right, so let me break this down. This, in what you call, the Yiddish that you use that you call Hebrew, is what we call a yod. All right? Shin, Rosh. All right? Aleph, Lam. Now, it's the same in all the Asiatic languages. There is no such thing as Arabic. There's no language of Arabic. It's a Punic language spirit. So you got Y-S-H-R. He said, Yah Shah Allah. O great prince of power. Prince, Shah. It wasn't the Hebrew first, where did the word come from? You can go right to the Kemetic text and the Amarna text and see that the so-called Egyptians used the word Sar or Shar first. And it means king. So who was the king in Kemet? You call him Osiris. He calls it Asar. This is the same yod, but they made it a hard A. So this yod can be pronounced I, Y, or long A. And this is Yasar, the black bull. The god of the black bull representing the rule of the black man. Asar. Osiris. And this is what you call El. Like if you were in the Moorish Symbol of America, you say your name is El, or Il, or Al. This is the phonetics we gave you later, Allah. So this is El and Asar. Asar El. That's where you get. That's the etymology of Israel. Period. So my question to them is, how can you have a Hamite God and teach anti-Hamitic teachings? It's a simple question.
Good response.
So that's the etymology. Now, when I went to the other glyphs, I showed the yod in hieroglyphics. This is the little leaf. Then I showed the throne. All right, the throne, which is Sa. Sometimes Sia, if you make it plural. And then you got the mouth, which is Ra. Yah or Asar is Osiris. I mean, this is the one.
But the definition right there is not correct.
Okay, come correct it for me.
I hear what you're saying.
Come on up. Because I'm not skilled in metaphor, but fix me up right, real quick. But my point still stands. All right? Yeah, Yeah, after he fixed me up.
The Metu Neta.
Hey, the community knows.
There's always the O.C. and I, and then there's the throne,
There's the throne.
and then there's the determinative, which is
Yeah, the God, the person.
And then for the
Yeah.
set, it's also throne.
Yeah.
And then it's this. This sometimes the wreath is sometimes what you call it basically it gives the sound just to check it. It mimics the sound, but
Right.
I'm not saying that
Yeah.
this is not wrong. I'm not saying that this is not wrong. I'm just saying this is wrong, but otherwise everything else. That's just my nature.
Yeah, and ask the question because I've been puzzled by this. The yod in the Asiatic languages, does it have its origination connected to this at all?
Well, the mysteries is the top level of all the sciences, right? So you can draw some conclusions, right? But you're right about this. It's just a minor meta nature, but everything else is good.
Did you see what the brother wrote? He wrote.
Give Reggie a hand, fam.
I don't know. But the determinative would be the king, which is usually has a beard, right? Or a beard to show it's a man, because sometimes it's a naturette. And then you have Sar. But my point is, you can't be taking linguistics from Africa and be anti-African. That's my point.
Good point. Good point.
Let me clarify one thing
Nah, that's
about
it,
that.
Okay.
How are like, for instance, we know that Arabic also holds aleph and lam, right? My thing is that you said Allah, this is what this would translate to. But when you're doing no other languages such as aleph and lam, how do you connect the two?
Gotcha.
Right.
This is the root. So you got aleph and lam, right? All right? This right here, if you wrote Allah, you would write aleph, lam, and this is a H, right? The root word of this is la, which you would write L-A-H. Al is the determinative, which is like a prefix, like the God. So what this language does right here is it takes this determinative and makes it dual, which means it could be al. If you read in the Quran, you'll see that it says there are other ilah, or ilahuma, right? But when you add the determinative al to it, it's the supreme God, the one worthy of worship. The is a definite article. So in the ancient languages, they would take that determinative, the, and they would take the root word and say that those two both spring from those. Because the common thing that they have is the lam. Now when you go into further sciences, the lam represents the lower part of the body and asar represents the other part. I don't want to go there, but if you sit on the throne, what shape are your legs in? It's in the shape of an L, right? When you stand up and your feet are on the ground, what are you in the shape in? Shape of an L, right? So if you understand that all language comes from anatomy, you can go further with that. But I'm just saying that in the basics, il or al became the root of the determinative al and the root la, which means a deity or a god.
Trying to figure out whether somebody got time to learn.
Yeah, 28 chapter, you always make reference to the, you're taking on ships. But you don't really dwell into the other, prophecies that's in context with our condition. So, I got a couple for you, verse 32, it says, your sons and daughters will be given to another nation, and you will wear out your eyes watching for them, day after day, powerless to lift up your hand. It's a whole litany of verses that you can apply to our condition. Why would you deny that being a man of the book, as a prophecy? That's my question to you. And I also got a gift for you too. Yeah, I got a gift for you, brother.
Get the gift first. What is this?
Legs on. Yeah. That was that was a lecture that was done by my brother, you know, concerning, you know, certain claims that you made. So you can check it out and then, you know, you can deal with that. But as far as with the question.
All right, so let me read exactly what the brother, this is King James Version that they would use, so he did deal with Deuteronomy 30, say it again, 32?
It was 32.
33.
32.
32. 33.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm reading. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, and your eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all day long, and there shall be no strength in your hand. A nation whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land and the produce of your labor, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually. And I'll read the other verse. So you shall be driven mad because of the sight which your eyes see. The Lord will strike you in the knees and on the legs with severe boils, which cannot be healed, and from the sole of your foot to the top of your head. The Lord will bring you and the king whom you set over you, a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other gods of wood and stone. Brothers and sisters, I did not say necessarily that this was in prophecy. I tried to qualify so you can get out of Spookville. The people who wrote this, all right, were extracting records from ancient history, and they compiled it into a book called the Septuagint. When they extracted those records, they were extracting the circumstances of those people that they experienced during that time. My point to you is that you're not the first black people who've been invaded by other people. And it's happened over and over again. As a matter of fact, if you're using this for slavery, we knew all about Europe, so ain't no nation that we didn't know. We knew all about Europe because we had crusades with them for over 400 years before the slavery, 500 years. So my point is, you have to put it in context. These are ancient people who were indigenous. White people extracted their records, reworked their history, and then gave it back to us. Now, context. This is why now historians need to teach history. The Punic Wars, you ever heard of them? The Punic Wars were only a mask for Rome invading African people. That's it. And as soon as they put this book together, they went and continued and elevated the Punic Wars to a level never seen. Why? Because they wanted to take the Punic history, the Phoenician history, the Israelite history, and rework it. And that's what they did with this book. So now all the circumstances that they did to those people, raped them, killed them, you get sick, boils, and all other stuff that you're experiencing now, people thousands of years ago experienced the same thing when they got invaded. That's all I'm saying. It's simple. If 500 years from now, some black people get invaded, and I write my story in the Source magazine about what happened to our people, would they read the Source magazine and call it their Bible? You hear what I'm saying to you? If I write an article in the Source magazine about what's going on with you right now in 2014, and 500 years from now, some black people get reinvaded all over again, they'll say Ali Muhammad was a prophet. Hell no, I was talking about what happened in my time, and it happened again in your time. That's the cyclical nature of history. Am I making sense with that? I just want to make sense to you. This report looks similar to your condition because it happened to black people in the past, or white people invaded them during that time. You follow me? That is prophecy in a way, but it's also the cyclical nature of history. I don't want to confuse you.
All right, so good evening, everybody. I have more of I guess like a comment as a spectator on what was going on. I felt that the debate for me was kind of 50-50. You had somebody discussing facts against emotions. And I feel that when I walk by the Israelites, when I see them outside, I'm always getting yelled at. And that kind of blocks me from listening to anything they have to tell me because it's 90-something degrees outside. You may have on a tank top, something, you know, clothes for hot weather, and they're like, oh, you hoe, oh, you this, oh, wait. And I'll be like, wait, but hold up. I'm educated, I'm this, I'm that, you know. So what I think is when it comes down to having debates about religion, we just need to break it down to the core, because I feel all the religions share the same kind of core principles: how you treat your fellow man, how you're supposed to eat, how you're supposed to live. And once we start arguing about who we're going to call the name of the God, we kind of lose focus, and it kind of creates a lot of tension in a room with people we're supposed to be getting together. And that's it.
Do what you do. I like to say, I saw a street debate on YouTube with Brother Bashir and Polite, and they were talking about the black woman being God. I like to know, is the black woman God according to the Quran? Because I think the Allah has a womb of some sort.
Well, that's what Polite.
That's what Polite said, right.
That's what the Quran said.
Right.
It showed it to you in the Quran.
Okay, and if Allah is not a woman, what exactly is Allah? I'm a little confused about Dr. Ali saying that we are God, but he's not an atheist, and I'm a little confused with that. If you can break it down a bit.
This is my exercise right here for the day. Trying to get to this popcorn. I bought a bag of popcorn and I asked the question. Popcorn's good.
All right, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us in Message to the Black Man that God means possessor of power and force. He even referred to the white man as the God of his own world. All right? Put that down. In Islam, you call this force dhikr. And Al Sayyid has arrived. He said that there's a force in the universe that turns and moves all things. Let's go to the Quran. The Quran sets up an astronomical power, and it sets up an earthly power. Make this real simple for you. That astronomical power deals with, we live in a planet that's spinning, it's going around the sun. And if you are an astronomer and you watch the sun's movement, or you calculate on its movements, you'll see it's moving around the galactic center. And at the center, scientists since 2004 have been studying that center, because what they realized is, because there was a gas cloud moving towards it, that this hole, which as of 2012, it sucked up this gas cloud into it and it disappeared. Now, if you're on Earth, every December 21st or 22nd, the sun, the Earth, another constellation that we based our calendars on, Sirius, and that galactic center line up every winter solstice. Why is that important? Because that was the 9th month of the original calendar, counting from the vernal equinox. Now, why am I talking about calendars? Calendars deal with the motions of the celestial bodies. Most of the celestial bodies determine everything, including your hormonal movements in your body and all kinds of other stuff. So ancient people studied astronomy to understand Earth energetics. And they did that because they knew that it was a force and a power that was at the center of this galactic point that was infinitely powerful, or in science we would say gravitation is approaching infinity. The force is approaching infinity, and it's black. A black hole. All right? Okay, y'all got that? Now, that's the astronomy of it. Coming to the earthly power. You have man and you have woman, which is a dual being. If you want to stay here, we need man and woman to come together to make a child, right? So if we asking God or goddess, that's English. We could say nature or naturette. We could say whatever we want to say. This is masculine, this is feminine. Real simple. You bring them together and you produce other little gods and goddesses. So we are walking gods and goddesses, emanating like the sun, the moon, and the star from one creative force or mind. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the black man's mind has 7 dimensions and gave rise to everything that you see, including your own temple. So my point to, is the black woman God? Why would she want to be a god if God is a masculine word? Why can't she just be a goddess and be cool? You got a god, you got gods, you got a family. I don't want to be a goddess. I'm not concerned with that. Because that's even if we throw English away, we can go to Nedger or Nedgerette. My Mennonite brother, can you verify, brother? Nedger and Nedgerette, or something close to that. Netzeru, was there a feminine context for that? With the top or the T on it. I've seen it. I've seen it where you don't have a beard, you have a woman, and they talk about those particular things. I've seen, okay, well, he disagrees with that. Okay. Netter and Netzeru. All right, okay, all right, brother. I don't know. But my point is this. Is the black woman God? We want women to feel better about themselves. We want to know their power. Listen, you're not teaching women their power. They already know their power. They just use it either responsibly or irresponsibly. So the key is teaching them responsibility and discipline. You got that? And the same thing is for the man. When you start these arguments, you start your emotional tangents that you have suppressed. You're trying to hide the truth. You're going to get lost in that. I promise you. I promise you. Because that's not your culture. Islam, the two come together to make one as a perfect holographic reflection of their creator. It's simple. So we are the family of the creator. And you got gods, you got goddesses, you got men, you got women, you got niggas, you got hoes, you got everything inside that. We just need to work on our levels to get to the levels that we can optimize that with our potential. So I don't disagree with the black woman being a divinity. They got a problem with calling her a god because I really call her a goddess. That's just me. Goddess, woman, baby, I love you. I don't know. Like we get lost in these terms. She is equally as powerful as you, brother.
That's right. That's right.
Right? And he is equally as powerful as you, sister.
That's the truth.
I know you're mad at him. It's all right. I know you're mad at him. You should be mad. You need to get this devil up off you. So I don't know. I hope I answered that question.
There we go.
Yeah. It's almost 10 o'clock.
Okay, yeah. Do we want to take these last two that did not answer the question? And then, brother, we're going to have to cut you off, brother. Yeah. I got the DVD now. You'll be up here next.
These are the last two.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed themselves.
It's almost, my question is almost like when he was just asking, and you almost answered it when you said Islam and Maya. I'm just wondering, what's the difference in their Native American belief systems or whatnot? And I'm just wondering what's the difference between the two.
Let me do this. This is
Belief systems. What was your question? Is there a difference
between Islam, Maya, and we got Native belief systems, and what's the difference between all this stuff?
Is Islam and Maya Native American
all the same.
systems, and what's the difference between the two? I mean, is it Islam matriarch or whatnot?
Yeah, I got you. I'm about to answer your question as best I can with science, and then use that as a backdrop. So give me a moment. I'm going to use the slides to do this. Don't mind, let me go through that. I like visuals. The visuals always help us see reality. All right. Okay. Brother Troy E. Williams, are you still in the building? Troy Williams? Parole officer? Badge number 22? Troy Williams? Anybody know what Troy Williams is?
He'll be back.
Department of Correction, you lost your ID. We're going to turn this in downstairs. If you're watching online and you happen to see, we're going to turn this in downstairs. Troy Williams, your ID is at the National Black Theater in Brother Nobby's office on the first floor. Be quick. All right, question. Islam Maya. All right, in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, you had something called the Iliad. It transferred itself into Shabbat stone, and you got other types of cosmological doctrines. This is about position. What it was really talking about was the laws of nature. All right? In Islam, you have the same thing, those 8 powers called the Tamaniya Amiyat Anam, sacred in the Sufi traditions, away from when things got politicized. In the Native American traditions, you have it called the Bolon Yaktiku, amongst the oldest natives, which we call the She, misnamed Olmec. This is what they study. They study the 4 elements of nature: fire, air, water, and earth. If we were to study them today, we would call them photons, hydrogen, ions, oxygen, water, and carbon. They study the equivalent thing that gave rise to the light, which is sunlight, the atmosphere, water, and the fruits and vegetables of the planet. They study the conditions, which is sunlight is hot and dry. Air is wet and hot. Water is wet and cold. All right? Carbon or earth is dry and cold. And then what they can do with this is they can make it equivalent to when you were born. So all calendar systems had a way of determining your elemental ancestor. Got it? And they would place the ancestors here, and later the Greeks renamed our system into zodiac, so you can go to the fire and add Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, which is a corrupted form of what we study. You go to the air and add Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. You go to the water and add Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. You go to the earth and add Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And I can take this table and I can talk about everything that you are without even having an interview with you. Just give me a verse. I tell you about the psychology, how you think, whether you like communication better, whether you're more sensual, whether you like being around people, social, whether you like being in quiet environments. And those energies that you were born under, if you amplify the environments that produce those energies, that's what you call success in life. So, when we had empires, this is what the people studied. What the white man did is, and the Arabs and other people, they invaded them and created religion. So now we can't read the Quran because we don't know what's a science for. A spiritual science. Or even the Bible. You know what I mean? Or the parts that they extract from our it's science in it. But the messenger told us that it must be reinterpreted. And the best way to reinterpret something is to learn where it actually comes from. Then you have the lens to look at it properly. So why are they teaching you to put sunscreen on? They're cutting off your divine communication with Ra, your ancestor. See? It's pagan though, right? Yeah, right. You see what I'm saying? They're telling you that you're anaerobic, but you're not. You're actually aerobic. So you need aerobic exercise. You need aerobic food. You need a piece of dead flesh. That's not aerobic food. It's anaerobic. It's dead. Why you put dead things in a living system? There's no oxygen in that meat. Not one cell is going to be processed in 5 points, right? Water. Water is that which catalyzes an environment for attenuation energy. Don't you know if you make sounds in the water, they travel faster than you do in the atmosphere? You know why? Because water has the power to condense that vibration and make it move faster. Fruits and vegetables. Do we need to even... You know when you eat fruits and vegetables how you feel as opposed to you eat that chicken cheesesteak. You know how you feel. You know how you... I ain't got to go into all the science. You know how you feel. The cell only burns fruit and uses vegetables for form. So our people study nature. And by studying nature, they knew the elements or the ancestors of self. And they could keep their temple. This is what we study in our society. This is what the messenger wanted us to study. The new Islam is you learn the sun, moon, and star. That's everything that's around you. That's the universe. That's your book. So anything that's not teaching you that is a distraction.
Is Islam a matriarch?
Islam is patriarchal and matriarchal. Why would you just want matriarchal systems when you got a patriarch? That doesn't even make sense. If you have a pater means father, mater means mother. You bring them together, you got government. If you want just matriarchy, that's that. What do you want? You want to suppress the man? That's feminist. I'm not saying you. I'm just saying concept. Why did you just want patriarchy? You want to suppress the woman? Why not just let them have a cohesive relationship? So they can work for the betterment of the little patriarchs and matriarchs that's coming from them. It's too easy. How do we get caught up into these things? It's our emotions. Your father wasn't there. I love matriarch. I ain't been around these niggas. I don't trust these niggas. Women raised me. You grow up. That's a deficiency. You have to look within and recognize it and say, damn, I'm angry at men. Because my father wasn't there. And these women gave me this angry energy because he wasn't there. And they were only hurt. Rightfully so, you got a right to express your emotions. We have to understand where these things come from. And whenever it's not balanced, then you can see it. It's easy. We got to listen. Use your intuition. Stop reading books. Go out and sit in the sun and then everything will be revealed to you.
Next question.
Last question. Go! my brother.
Like say, assalamu alaikum, brother.
Islam, sir.
I love you. Standing up being so.
Yes, sir.
And fearing Allah and the will of North America.
Yes, sir.
I know you debate Bible and the Quran. The messenger put the message to the black man that both of those books was not for the black man. It was for other people. And he said that it's time for us to write a new book, another book for us, our history. You know what I mean? So when will we start preparing ourselves for that new book instead of going back and forth with this Bible and Quran, which keep making us go backwards? Assalamu
Thank you, sir. Hey, I think that's a part of why we're here. You know what I mean? You don't, let me say something. The books can help you. Because the messenger said that both books have been tampered with. But he also said that the Quran is the best book in the hands of men if understood. He was giving us a crutch. You know, if you hurt your leg, you need a crutch. So he gave us something that had reforming power to it. And he gave us a way to interpret it in his original way. And he also wanted us to unite with people who had this thing. You go to Africa, there's Muslims everywhere. You got to be able to speak the language. If you're going to go do business and they feel you a Muslim, they feel, you know, so it's a science to culture. You might not be thinking the same way that they're thinking about Islam because you got something maybe a little bit more advanced, but it's a way to approach people. The people on this planet are the people of the scriptures. Christians, Muslims, you know, we got to be able to come at it. But on that new book, read the book. What we going to write? The Quran says that everybody's going to receive a book. So if everybody is only waiting on the Quran, and it says you're going to receive a book in your right hand on the day of judgment, what book? How everybody going to get a book? That's a lot of books. Is everybody going to read these other books? No, that's your book. The word is kitab, and kitab means a decree or order or a law. So the only way we write our new book right now is that some people is on the right hand, some people is on the left hand. So your book is what you write it down right now. And we understand that. Does everybody have a good time tonight? Listen, we are here every Monday, and when we come here, we don't talk about religion. This is just a way to get you in so that we can talk about religion because it's important to you. We come in here, we talk about spirituality, how to get your family together, how to get out of debt, how to build your economic platform, how to get from under these crazy law systems, and ways to strategize. We're here every Monday at 7 o'clock. We'll post the debate information. Listen, brothers and sisters, we got to talk about these things. I know some people don't like debates, but look, people come out and they want to get some understanding. Did you think that the Hebrews gave you some knowledge tonight? Give it up for them. They gave you some knowledge? They did. Did I give you something that you never heard before? Never heard before? Okay, well, y'all heard it all already, but damn, why we talking? I think that that's preliminary. So we like oh, you have flags for the glasses? Yeah, okay. MC has flags for the glasses up front. If you want to get one of those flyers, you can contact all of our websites. We do live streaming, so you can watch them even if you're at home.